Hello, Hayley. Welcome to the Consciousness Method podcast. I am truly delighted to have this chat with you today. So happy you're here.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
And I know you're a bit nervous.
I am.
Let's be honest. We were just talking about it. Like everyone that I invite to come on and share their journey is normally really nervous because it's a big deal, right? Everything
Yeah.
you've done is huge.
Yeah, it's like bearing your soul to strangers.
So everyone listening, can you pretend you're not there so we can just chat?
Thank you.
So good. Honey, we knew each other, just in conversation. I think it was via Instagram for a little while before you began the mentorship. And I always felt your soul. Like, I always was like, when's Hayley coming to do the work? I can feel her. I know that there's something here for her. And the timing just was like in and out. And then it finally aligned. Tell me, where were you at when you were like, yes, I'm ready? What was going on?
Okay, well, actually, I'd been following you for a number of years, and I actually did a relationship rewire with you around about 3 years ago,
That's
two and a half,
right.
3 years ago. So it was a small container. And it was a while ago. So I had been following your work I'd been, yeah, quite intensely following your work because it really was just landing with me. And I think it was really just a matter of time before I did work with you. And I think what really drew me to the work with you, like, was, or why I knew there was so much power in it, was because I had had an experience about 3 years ago where I really transmuted a lot of pain and a lot of fear. I mean, in the most intense way. And that experience was like nothing I had ever been through before because I had suppressed a lot of everything my whole life. And out of that experience, I had a profound shift in my life. And so I knew the power of going there. However, I didn't want to have to be in an altered state to have to go there. I just wanted it to become something that I had access to at will. And so that's why your work really sat with me for such a long time because I was like, there's really something in this.
Mm.
And when I finally lent into doing the work with you, there were a lot of changes happening in my life. So that was January this year. And my world was opening up. There was a lot of expansion in my world. I'd done a lot of healing work and I was really feeling the speed wobbles and I was feeling this sort of limited capacity to hold it all and to let more in.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, this feels like a bit of an edge. And then something was just like, yeah, it's time. So yeah, it was really just such a beautiful um, point in time. And I think it was really divine timing, to be honest with you. Like I couldn't have asked for this to come at a better time. And so it was really just that wanting to um, just the expansion, really wanting to lean into the expansion and knowing that I still had work to do, regardless of the 20 years prior to that work that I had been doing in many different capacities.
Oh my goodness, honoring that so deeply. Because I think there is that niggle, right? I find a lot of people come into the container going, I've done so much work. Why isn't this piece there? And then it's like, I think in the container, we just learn that it's evolution, but we learn how to evolve ourselves and meet that part. But I think what I'm really wanting to like honor is that there are a lot of beautiful humans out there that are doing a lot of work and using, the altered state pathway to get that shift. So I'm curious for you and your like incredible consciousness to realize that you wanted to begin to do that consciously. What was it like to begin to step into working with one of the core processes, which is the pain and fear portal? How did that evolve for you? And maybe if you want to share like one part of your experience that you really felt a shift via using that process.
Mm. I think the pain and fear was a really big one for me because it really highlighted an area of my life that I hadn't given much time to. In fact, it is really at the core of that energetic imprint from such a young age of suppressing my truth, suppressing my pain, muting myself, and I did not have an intimate relationship with my pain. I just, in a sense, became numb to it. And so the pain and fear really was a big one for me. What I found though was um, it was quite a struggle for me to try and induce an experience of pain so that I could process it. And so I was feeling really kind of stuck at one point of like, oh, there's something here, but I can't access this. And of course, I can't access it because I have shoved this down for my whole entire life. And so it was going to take more for me to access that pain. Um, and what was sort of being co-created in my reality at the same time was a beautiful relationship with a very loving man who has brought a lot of stability to my life. But through that, I was invited to look at places that I haven't looked at. And everything came up for me. Everything came up. So through that co-creation, I was able to then go back to the pain and fear meditations and the pain and fear work and work through it as these triggers were coming up for me. And so really that helped me sort of move through that just really um quite seamlessly, I would say. Like I just had so many shifts um, in that time that it was just really such a beautiful landing space for me to go, right, I've got this trigger. And of course, because I'm now in relationship and now what am I going to do with this? And so that's where the work really came in handy because I was just able to just like work through it and just like, oh yeah, tick that box. And not that it's about ticking
Yeah, but
boxes,
yeah, I
but
agree.
yeah, in a sense, it's like I'm not ruminating over this. I'm not having to dwell on this. Like it's not becoming part of a story that I'm now, embedding in my psyche. It's like this has come up. I've done the process that, and now it's gone. And now I'm just free to just be who I am. And that was probably one of the most profound things I found by working through that pain and fear work was just like I had the trigger outside and then I could go and do the work and just process that. And yeah, it was incredible. Like it was such a powerful catalyst, really, truly.
Yes, I love that so much because that's when we really start getting the momentum for the evolution. It's like reality's offering the mirror, and then we
Mm,
know what to do with the trigger, which is so profound. And I would love you to speak into that part because I think for you, the pain was so well protected in your survival mode
mm,
because you had been functioning in survival for such a long time with the design of your experience of your life. And I remember there was like a couple of moments where that you had those anxiety like attacks, like panic attacks,
mm.
because it was almost like that survival mode had suppressed so much of you, and then it all was kind of like coming up to the surface, and you were being kind of face to face with what was sort of buried there. And instead of just being like, oh, that's just a panic attack or an anxiety attack, it was like, let's go deeper. Let's like find what was at the threshold there. And then that kind of led you to looking across your lifespan to where you've been in suppression and survival. Are you
Yes.
happy to share a bit about that?
Yeah, I am. So I think with regard to the suppression and the survival, um, being in survival for so many years, like the imprint of that program really began in childhood. Um, my father left when I was very, very, very young, and then that wounding really activated when I was around 8 years old, when my and my brother was 12 years old. At the time, we were in New Zealand on a family holiday, and my brother decided to stay in New Zealand with our father, and my father sent me back to Australia by myself. And my brother had really become like a father figure in my life because I didn't have one. Like he was a very stable presence. Um, but what followed from that was witnessing my mother grieve my brother like he had died over many years. I internalized her pain as I'm never going to do that to you.
Mm.
And I will mute myself, I will hide my pain, and I will take on the responsibility of her happiness. Because I made my needs not matter, um, I carried this into my relationships and made life very hard for myself over the years. Yeah. But life co-created many opportunities for me to break this pattern. And I would say after many painful experiences, um, I think I've finally come full circle, like I'm nearly 50. Um, and things are really turning around. But the result of suppressing myself for decades meant that I didn't have access to my pain. As I was speaking into before, I was aware of it because I was manifesting it through anxiety and panic attacks, but I did not have an intimate relationship with it. Um, and by the time my daughter was born, that really sealed the deal because she had a profound, complex disability and she needed me. So I swept everything under the rug. Um, on top of that, my then husband would minimize my pain and tell me that I didn't have a right to it because his pain was so much worse than mine. And I believed him. Um, and I would just suck it up because so many people have it way worse than I did. And I think, yeah, being inside the mentorship really was a permission slip for me to just go there. I remember on one phone call we had, and that came up, and you just spoke into that so beautifully. And even though that was like in the field, being projected from me, you just spoke to that so eloquently and so beautifully. And I'm so grateful for that because I had lived my life with the belief that I didn't have a right to my pain because everybody had it so much worse than I did. And, you know, like you said, like it doesn't have to be a big T trauma, it's how we internalize that in our body. Like it's a felt experience and it's basically all felt in the same way, no matter what the circumstances are. So it really did allow me to just be like, oh, okay. Like, oh, right. I'm allowed this. Like I'm actually allowed this. And and so I think that really helped things on from there. It's like, when the subtlety of the pain would show up in my body, instead of just shooing it away because I don't have time for this, like, oh my God, I'm on my way to work or whatever is happening in my life, I was able to just go, you know what, this is important and this deserves time. And I did an 11-minute meditation of the pain and fear before I went to work one day. And oh my God, that just like brought it like, and I just went so deep into that. And I love the meditations because they, um, you get curious about the pain and where it's coming from and what it means when you're in it. And so therefore it gives it much more meaning because instead of you just having a cry and you feel the release from a cry, but now it becomes more purposeful and you can really step through and process it in a much more meaningful way, I would have to say. Does that make sense?
Oh my gosh, complete sense. So eloquent and clear. And just thank you for sharing your journey in that and all those spaces and the acknowledgement of that. It's kind of like I felt like you like connected so many dots. It was almost like watching you just kind of pull everything together and things you knew, like you had the awareness. It was all there. Like you're acutely aware of your whole experience, but it's almost like watching you bring all those dots and unify them into this identity of you that had been created from those dots and then be like, hold on a minute. this is not actually me, but I've carried this to survive. That was a gift to see, to witness in you.
Thank you. Yeah, it was truly a gift. Absolutely. Thank you.
So big. And
It's
then sorry, go.
Oh, I think it's just what I love about the work is it just makes it all make sense. Like I said, like I've done like 20 years of work in various forms. Like I was such a personal development junkie, and I've done mystery schools and energy healing and workshops and mentorships and all the things, traditional counseling. And while that was all great and that served me in many ways, I think there was just this like discombobulation of like my healing journey, and it's just been like so many pieces of the puzzle, and this was just kind of like the missing piece to bring everything together and just make it make sense. And for me, like make it make sense. Otherwise, I'm just like I'm still all up in my confusion about so many things. And I'm a Capricorn. I need things to make sense, please.
Hallelujah for the missing piece. Yes.
Yeah.
It makes
Yeah.
sense. Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah.
So happy for that. Like honestly, the confusion is real when it comes to this journey. But I think and that brings me to the next piece that I really saw you embody and step through, which is that version of the dying to the limited self, which is where we went to some places that you maybe thought you would never go, and you released
Yes,
some concepts you never thought you could release, and you
absolutely.
freed yourself. Are you happy to speak into this?
Yes. Yes, this is like the big piece because it just came out of nowhere, but at the same time, it didn't come out of nowhere. The writing was on the wall for a long time. And I think just because of my history with my daughter, I hadn't allowed it to really seep into my conscious awareness. And I guess even though I had my I'll just touch on a second for the experience I had with the altered state because that really points to what we're going to speak about. And that piece was really about grieving the fact that my daughter will grieving the fact that my daughter will probably um, die before I die, basically, and that I will outlive her because of her condition and her limited lifespan. And um, when you're a parent of a child with special needs who has a limited lifespan, the fear really takes over and just embeds in your soul, and everything is enacted out of fear. And looking back on my journey with her, I did everything out of fear. Like I loved her intensely, but fear was really in the driver's seat, like nobody's business. And I look back at myself and I was just running all the time, running because I have to save my child, and the panic attacks and the anxiety and not letting people care for her or shower her, or like even leaving her with her father for the weekend, while I went away on a very rare getaway was like so pain inducing. And so fear was running the show for the past, almost 20 years. And what that altered state did for me a few years ago was it allowed me to go to the point of losing her. And I remember a counselor said to me once, "You have to meet the moment of your daughter's death." And I thought, "You're out of your fucking mind. Like, what really, like, what parent can do that?" And I just pushed that aside. And then when I went into this altered state, that's where it took me, and I had no control over it. Like my ego dissolved and I just went there. And so I guttural grieved her from the depths of my soul. And oh, I'm just getting goosebumps now. Um, and it was just allowed to pass through me. And I mean, once the tears had stopped, there was so much energy pulsating through me that I was literally on all fours on the earth, just like fire was coming out of my limbs into the ground because it was that powerful. Like the energy that was stored in my body around the fear that I had created was like so intense, like nothing I had ever experienced in my life. And yeah, I was definitely out of it for a few days and just like
Mm.
I just felt like I wasn't in my body, but that's because I had purged so much and now I'm feeling differently. And what that shift allowed was for love to actually be in the driver's seat and to be able to let her live her life in such a way that she's not always picking up on my fear and my concern and my worry and all of the things. So now she has a beautiful life, you know, going away on weekends and sleepovers and with her carers, and she absolutely loves it. And I mean capital L loves it. and and this has been, you know, a huge shift for us. But what I wasn't willing to extend myself to was considering that she could potentially live independently from me one day. Like that was not it was just not an idea in my head, not a concept. She was always going to be with me, whether she liked it or not. Because in that sense, I still had some control. And that brings me to my time in the mentorship with you when I was listening to I can't remember which week. You might be able to speak into that. The meditations about, was it the limited self?
Yes, I think it was
Yes.
limited, dying to the limited self. Yeah.
Yes. And so I had been listening to the meditations every day, and nothing kind of was coming up for me that week. And I was just kind of cruising through the week until I got on the call. And I still didn't even know what I was going to speak about on that particular call that day. I was just listening to everybody else. And I think I may have typed in, like, I'm just listening today. And at some point, somebody said something. And it was like it literally just dropped into my consciousness. And I felt all of this like energy like around my throat. And it was like I was choking, like, and like it came to my turn, and I was like, Allura, like there's just something I need to say, and I don't know how to say this because I've never said this before, and I've never thought this before, and it's just like coming up now, and it just wants to be spoken, and I'm like, I don't know what to do about this because I've never even thought this, and now it wants to be spoken out into the world, and that was like, I think my daughter might want to live independently from me one day. And then I just burst into tears, and it was just like such a, like, so from left field, but at the same time not, because the writing was on the wall for so long. Like my daughter loves being out in the world and doing a thing, and who wouldn't? Like she's 22 now. I didn't, and there's no way I would have been at home at 22 with my mother. Um, And so I'm coming to terms with that reality because I know that I don't want to clip her wings. Like I want her to spread her wings and fly and be as independent as possible with her 24/7 carers, obviously.
Hmm.
But I'm now getting to the point where I really want her to have that experience because I know that that's ultimately what she wants. And for once in my adult life, since I've had children, I can now see a life for myself outside of being a carer for my daughter. And now there's all these future possibilities opening up that I'd never considered before. And I'm really excited about the future, which before it was just like, we're just going to do this forever kind of thing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Full goosebumps.
Yeah, that was a biggie. I think that really was the elephant in the room that wasn't yet ready to be conscious in my experience, but through the mentorship and the meditations, like
Mm.
these things really just rear their heads when they need to. That I found the meditation so powerful, to be honest. Like that was probably the most powerful part of the mentorship for me was what the meditations did for me internally.
Oh my gosh, Haley, thank you so much for sharing that. And just the like, I remember that moment, and it was almost like just to have you have that safety and have that knowing in that moment. And it was almost like something you've never spoken, you've barely ever thought of. It just
Yes.
came through in that space. It was like there was no way to not have that be seen and felt. And I've seen this so many times. people have expressed things in the container that they have never imagined that they would be able to say. They've never told anybody. And you
Mm.
just find yourself being able to tell a group of beautiful humans on the journey with you. It's just such, I feel like it's almost miraculous. Like, I don't feel it's got anything to do with me. It just feels like a miracle of the consciousness to hold that space. Um, but I just, yeah, that was a beautiful moment. I just want to honor that, that and you spoke into it, like you went beyond that threshold and it was like, yes, there's nowhere for this to go but out.
And I think it was like I was able to give it context after that because I had realized in the moment that I'd said it that the writing had been on the wall for so long. I
Yeah.
just wasn't willing to even like give it any airtime. And but then as soon as I spoke it, it was like, oh yes, of course, because of this and because of this and because of this and because of this. Like it's all there in the field. It's just like, okay, now I'm ready to look at you.
So sweet.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And then I feel like this liberation you're having around your
Yes.
experience, your honoring of yourself, your honoring of your daughter, the whole thing, it's like you've then become activated in purpose, which is
Yes.
like what the purpose is the truth, the medicine, the authenticity, the outcome. Like we're in mentorship to do all the deep work, but the evolution is into purpose and into spreading your wings beyond the container and living your life in connection to your consciousness and your design that you're here to bring to humanity. And that's what I want for everybody. So we spoke the other day and I was like, you're feeling into that. I'd love to hear kind of what's coming through now. You've kind of cleared a lot of that density out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, I think now because the lid's been lifted on my um what I can imagine for my life. And before I was feeling very stuck, very stuck in how I could be in service to anybody else other than my daughter, how I could um even just earn an income, because being a solo mum for a number of years after her father and I separated, homeschooling my son, yeah, it's been tough. And so even though I have carers come in, obviously I'm limited to what I can do. I am working now, which is amazing, but now when I look into the future and I see possibilities for myself, like the future is so bright. And I can see myself in service to parents that have been in my situation and um, really, I guess, I mean, this sounds very grandiose, but really wanting to liberate others from their own. I think I'm not on your level in any way, but
Yes.
liberate others from their pain and fear. Like I know what it's like to have fear in the driver's seat, and it's so all-consuming and exhausting, and I know what they're holding on to, and I really want to be just I guess somebody who can say, hey, there's a different way and bring that about in a way that is just really compassionate um, and really just honoring their journeys and where they are and where they would like to be at. Because I spent so much of my life feeling that my needs didn't matter, and it it saddens me to think that there's so many other people living that experience. And so I just really want to be able to breathe life into people in a way that feels meaningful to me. And I've been chipping away at just sort of gathering different modalities and things like that. And it's like, oh yeah, one day I'll get to put these all to use. Like, and I'm excited about that. I can really see a light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah.
Oh my God, what a gift for so many humans that are in that matrix of fear and survival, Lots of humans, but especially carers that are sacrificing so much
Mm.
for their loved ones. And I think, oh my gosh, you're such a gift, honey. I'm so excited for that purpose to come through and for you to be in support of those people. But it's from a different energetic design, right? It's like from
Mm,
this overflow because you're already full of that connection and care of yourself. It's just an
mm,
extension of that, which is such a different design to like feeding into everyone else and sacrificing yourself. So I
mm.
can feel how organic and authentic it is that you've got you now. Like you're not
Yes.
leaving you. You're not energetically abandoning you anymore. And you actually cannot because you're so in relationship to you, which is,
Yeah.
I think, the biggest gift. And then you have the overflow, right? To be in those places of service and abundance and creation because there's not that gaping kind of lack that comes through you because it's not connected here. So, whew, watch out.
Yeah, it really feels like this is a full circle moment because over the last few years, I really have been able to invest in myself and into myself and fill my cup up and really learn what it means to be truly happy in my own body, in my own skin, and sovereign to myself and not requiring external things to fill my cup up or to make me happy. The interesting thing about that is once I learn how to do that for myself, then life gifted me with the most beautiful human, and now we get to co-create together a beautiful life. And he's completely supportive of me and really wants to help me with my vision. And it's just been such a beautiful combination of everything now that I can see it how it's all coming together. And yeah, I just couldn't be more grateful for everyone and everything. And especially, you with the mentorship and, just the way you breathed life into me while I was in the container and, all of the blind spots that you could see that I couldn't see. And that really was huge for me because yeah, like I think you had spoken into it as well, that I really had a good understanding intellectually of all the things, but I didn't have that intimate relationship with my pain. And so there was certainly blind spots there that you were able to reflect back to me that I was able to run with and yeah, and do something about it. So
Good.
yeah,
Oh
thank
my
you.
gosh, such a pleasure, honey. Such a pleasure. And my final question is if someone's out there listening, maybe they're a carer or an overgiver or someone just running in survival mode, feeling anxious or panicky, what would you say to them about thinking about joining the container?
Um, I would just say to them, like, know that you matter. Know that your life matters too, and that stepping into this container uh, is such a massive investment in not only yourself, but everybody around you and your child who may be picking up on your anxiety and your fears. That's probably the biggest gift for me is I know my daughter was picking up on all of that energy from me, and now she's just free to be herself and go off and do all the things that she does because I'm not, holding on for dear life to this child. So in my liberation, it's also her liberation. And I think that's the greatest gift that we can give another person is like liberating ourselves so we can also liberate them. So yeah, I would say just do it. Like I like Allura is amazing and and gentle and compassionate and firm as well. I loved that. It's
Mm.
like, no, like something needs to be said. You'll say it compassionately, but you'll just get straight to the crux of it. And I love that. I love straight shooters.
Oh my
Thank
God.
you.
Thank you, Hayley. This is being epic. I can't wait for you to listen to this back and just hear just, oh my gosh, the gift of your journey is just so, so big and so powerful. So thank you for your words and your presence, and everyone can listen now and go back and listen to anything you missed.
I don't know if I want to listen to myself.
That will be the next stretch of the nervous system.
Yeah.
Thank
Most
you so
definitely.
much, darling.
Thank you.